What is going on, everyone? This is Horror Kid here, and welcome back to a brand new review. For this review, I'm taking a look at a game that pretty much ditches the standard element already established by its respected series. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, released for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and the PC. MGR Revengeance is an action hack and slash developed by Platinum Games. Yeah, the same people who made the Bayonetta games made this before Bayonetta 2. And it was published by Konami Digital Entertainment and it was released worldwide on February 19th, 2013. The game takes place in the year 2018, taking place 4 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, where our main hero isn't Solid Snake, but rather Raiden, originally making his debut in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. But instead of being pure human, Raiden is now a cybernetic ninja since this takes place after Guns of the Patriots, and in that game, Raiden is in a cybernetic ninja outfit. Now, MGR was originally going to be developed by Kojima Productions, who originally announced it back in 2009 under the title of Metal Gear Solid Rising, and it was supposed to take place in between MGS 2 and 4. But Kojima Production met with tons of difficulty with programming the game based on swordplay. So the head honcho himself, Hideo Kojima, postponed its development. But Hideo met up with Atsushi Inaba, a worker at Platinum Games. Now in 2011, it was originally going to be Metal Gear Solid Rising, but now the game we know today. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the plot. MGR, like I said, takes place in 2008, 4 years after Guns of the Patriots. While providing security details in an unnamed African country for its Prime Minister Nemani, sorry if I mispronounced this name, Raiden and his team are attacked by rogue PMC, who work for a company named Desperado. While Raiden fights their forces, Nemani is kidnapped by Sundowner, voiced by the legendary voice of Alucard from Hellsing himself, Crispin Freeman. Raiden proceeds to pursue both Nemani and Sundowner, but ends up having to fight a Metal Gear Ray unit. Let me repeat that. A Metal Gear Ray unit as the first boss. Raiden eventually arrives, but Nemani gets brutally executed by Sundowner, leaving his comrade Jetstream Sam, voiced by Philip Anthony Rodriguez, to deal with Raiden, who then proceeds to lose an eye and an arm in battle, and proceeds to collapse from his wounds but manages to survive. One of Raiden's own comrades, Doctor, I just like how that name sounds, Doctor, proceeds to give our cyber ninja a new black cybernetic armor, which in results grants more power. Fast forward around 3 weeks later, Raiden fights an AI named LQ-84I, which is thankfully shortened to Blade Wolf once Raiden defeats and recruits it as an ally. We then move on to one of Desperado's main cyborgs, Mistral, while trying to capture Andre Dovet. How do I pronounce this character's last name? Dozeva. Screw it, I'm calling him that. Who proceeds to commit suicide by blowing up an oil tank he was standing on. Yeah, I'm not joking. Play the game for yourself to see what I mean. In Mexico, Raiden meets a runaway orphan named George who helped Raiden infiltrate a facility where people are surgically removing the brains of children and shipping them to the USA. I am not making this up. I wish I am. After being one of the hardest bosses in the entire game, Monsoon, and later his and Mistral's body doubles, and then Sundowner, we get to the Badlands, where we finally fight Jetstream Sam. He's fairly challenging. It's almost like fighting Virgil in Devil May Cry 3 and 5. Raiden Blade Wolf then proceeds to make it to Pakistan, where Raiden, after seeing Wolf almost destroyed, is attacked by Senator Armstrong's own Metal Gear unit, known as Excelsus. Excelsis. I think I'm pronouncing that either right or wrong. Let me know. After trading some fisticuffs with the Senator, Wolf proceeds to give Raiden Sam's sword, the high-frequency Muramasa blade. Now it's time for the final boss fight. We proceed to kill Armstrong by gouging his heart out. This game is brutal! And then the game ends hinting at a sequel that will never see the light of day because Hideo, along with some of his own dev team, proceeds to have a falling out with Konami, which results in Konami and Hideo Kojima and said dev team having a falling out. So that was pretty much the main plot of Metal Gear Rising, and I quite enjoyed this plot. While the game itself is short, I still had a very good time playing it through just to see what happens next. Now let's segue onto that gameplay. The gameplay of Metal Gear Rising pretty much ditches the stealth system from the previous Metal Gear games in trade of Bayonetta-styled hack and slash. Now while Raiden's main weapon, the high-frequency blade, is primarily used after killing the main bosses of the game, we can use their weapons, like Mistral's staff, Monsoon's side blades, and I already mentioned Sam's high-frequency Muramasa, but that doesn't come until the end of the game, where it replaces Raiden's own high-frequency blade. Now there are also secondary weapons Raiden can use, like a cardboard box, because this game does have some stealth sections, and a rocket launcher. Exclusive to this game is something called Blade Mode, and along with it is what this game calls a Zandatsu, where Raiden can precisely slice a certain part of an enemy and extract their fluid to restore his health. Think of it as doing one of those finishing moves in Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, where Dracula sucks the blood from his enemies to restore a bit of his health. But instead of restoring a bit of his health, it's a full health restore. Now virtually anything could be sliced, minus cats. Now during the Monsoon boss fight, we have access to the Ripper mode. Think of it as the equivalent to the Devil Trigger from the Devil May Cry series, but on a much more brutal scale. Now, in the main boss fight with Monsoon, we have unlimited use, but in the main levels, it's limited. Now, here's what I think is a huge hurdle to overcome when it comes to new players of this game: the parrying system. You see, Metal Gear Rising doesn't have a basic dodge button or function, but instead we have the parry system, signified by a red flash. We have to look at the enemy, followed by the square button, which staggers them, which then leaves them opening for an attack. Now here's my issue. Why can't it be mapped to something like the circle button? It almost has no use in the game. That's the only flaw I can ever find in this game. Other than that, gameplay is rather good. So, can I still recommend Metal Gear Rising Revengeance? Yes, I can. While the story is nothing special and not on the same level as the previous Metal Gear games, and gameplay to some might be repetitive, I can still say Metal Gear Rising is still a fun game. It's still a fun game to be played. While it does clock in at around 8 hours, it's 8 hours well spent. I'm giving MGR Revengeance an 8.5 out of 10. Now I want to hear from you all. Did you play and beat Metal Gear Rising, and could you recommend it to a friend? Leave your answers in the comments below. Follow my social medias, links are down below. Subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell since we are nearing 100 videos. Until then, I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.